guys, I've been struggling real hard. And I asked God what I should do. Um, and He said, just start with the beginning. So, the beginning in the book of Genesis. I get to start and talk more craziness. So, let's see. Okay, I'm going to read. I'm going to go over the first two verses, and then I'm going to talk about Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. And hopefully this doesn't take too long. So, Lord Jesus, help me, please. Okay, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So, what's interesting is that this word for God is Elohim, and Elohim is plural. It's one of the names of God that's plural. El is also plural, but El is usually, when it's referring to plural, it's usually talking about heathen gods. So, but for this, in this case, Elohim is plural. And you know how we always talk about first reference? Well, tell me why the first reference of God is plural. Okay. So in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The heaven is Shamayim, which is heaven or sky, and it's masculine. And then the earth is Eretz, and that's feminine. And the earth the word was is Haya, which means to fall out, come to pass, become. So the earth was without form, and that word without form is tohu, and that is formlessness, confusion, unreality, emptiness. Okay, so the earth was without form and void, and that word void is just emptiness, bohu. And darkness is the word koshek, and that means obscurity, which means you can't see, it's like clouded. Obscurity was upon the face or faces. That word panim could be plural as well. Of the deep is tehom, and that is sea, deep sea, abyss, and I feel like the abyss is talking about the mind. The spirit is ruach. Ruach is feminine. The spirit of Elohim moved, rakaf, relaxed, upon, above, or over. The face, panim, the face or faces of the waters. And this word waters is masculine, and it can mean flood, pool, or loins. It can mean loins. It can mean spring or well. A river, sea, a flood. Primeval deep. Okay. So Ruach of Elohim relaxed or moved upon the faces of the waters. Then the first day. And Elohim said, and that word said is amar, to utter. He opened his mouth. Let there be is that same word for was, which is haya, to fall out. So he opened his mouth and there was light. Or, and God saw the light, and that word saw is ra'a, and that means appear, approve, become aware, behold, considered. Okay, and then so God beheld the light, or that it was good, or beautiful, Toby, beautiful. And Elohim divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, Yom, and the darkness, obscurity, that's that word Koshak for obscurity, he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Second day. And Elohim said, let me see that word said. To utter, to say, to command, declare, give order, thinking or thought. I feel like everything just sprang from the imagination of the spirit and the mind is like the soul. The spirit and mind came together and created. And so the second day is a firmament. That firmament is the word Rakia. God said, let there be firmament in the midst of the waters. In the midst of the waters. Mayim. Is that the same word for water that was used earlier? Yes, it's the same word. So and then let it divide the waters from the waters. So what's interesting here, let me look at this word divide. To divide, to separate, to make a distinction. One of these words in here, I think it's the firmament. The firmament means the vault of heaven. So I know it's talking about dividing the waters into the levels of heaven, but the interesting thing is that it can mean, a flat expanse, a base supporting throne. Oh, here we go. Firmament regarded by Hebrews as solid. So the waters became encased in something solid. The waters were divided and then encased in something solid, like a body. Okay. And so divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and morning was the second day. And God said, and so this is the third day. The waters, Mayim, under the heaven be gathered unto one place, and let dry land appear. So the land, all the water drained below the land, and then what was above God called earth. And then there was the waters above in the heavens as well. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, herb, seed, fruit, etc. And he saw that it was beautiful, and that was the third day. And so the fourth day, God said, let there be lights. But this word lights is ma'or. It's not, the other word that was originally used was the word or. And so this is the word ma'or, and it's a luminary, and it's in the firmament of heaven. So it's within the firmament, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And this word light, to give light, that word or, which was what was originally created, that was, I didn't go over this, but it means bright, enlighten, give light, illume, kindle, make a fire, make shine. And it's also referenced as a lamp. Okay. Let me see where this is. Psalm. Which psalm should I use? Let me think. I think it's this one, Psalm 18. No. But basically, it's like a lamp unto my. Anyway, the wisdom of man lighten up his face. That's Ecclesiastes 8. So basically, it's like the light of the mind. So there's light of the mind, and then there's obscurity of the mind or confusion. So that was what was created, the day and the night. The first day, enlightenment and obscurity or confusion or unreality. Okay, and so this fourth day, when the sun and the moon and the stars were created, God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. So the greater light is the sun, and the lesser light is the moon. And he made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So when it says, and to rule over, that's mashal, to have dominion, to reign. So they were having domain over the day and the night. To divide the light from the darkness. To divide knowledge from obscurity. Okay. Fifth day, birds and fish. Okay. God said, let the waters, Mayim, bring forth abundantly, swarm to teem with moving creatures that have life, or that word life is che. H. Let me see that word. Oh, sorry, it's not che, it's ka'i. Kahi. Okay, and it means of God as the living one, the fountain of life. So maybe it's referencing just the breath of the Spirit. Okay, and fowl. So fowl is Ophi, flying creatures that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And in the open, that's panim, faces. So in the firmament of heaven. And God created great whales. But let me see this thing. The thing about the fowl is that it's masculine. And it just means winged creatures. All winged creatures. And God created great whales. And this word whales is also masculine. And it can mean serpent, dragon, or sea monster. And then every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged creature after his kind, and God saw that it was good. Oh, beautiful. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and morning were the fifth day. The sixth day, and God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after his kind, the cattle, creeping thing, and the beast after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast after the earth of his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Elohim said, let us make man in our image. And in our image is Salem, form, image, likeness, phantom, resemblance. From an unused root meaning to shade, a phantom, illusion, resemblance, representative figure. And let them have dominion over the fish. And this word fish is daga, and it's feminine. So have dominion over the fish and over the fowl of the air. And that word fowl, like I said, was masculine. And over the cattle and over the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man, Adam, or mankind, in his own image, Selem. In the image, Selem, of God, Elohim, he created him. Male and female created he them. Actually, that he them part is added by Strong's. So just God created male and female. And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Subdue means to bring into bondage. And have dominion over the fish and over the fowl and every living thing that creeps. And then God said, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, eating, and every beast of the earth, and everything that creeps upon the earth. I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and it was beautiful. And everything, and the evening and the morning was the sixth day. Okay, so that's the first chapter. Let's go to the second, where it talks about the creation of man, verse 4. These are the generations, and that word generation just means the order of birth, and it's feminine. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord made them, and that the word Lord is Yahweh, Jehovah. In the day that Jehovah Elohim made them, and the heavens and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. And Jehovah Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the ground, because there is no man to till it. And so, to till, to work, Abad, that means to serve, to work, to become slaves, bondage, laborers, perform, make servant, make slave, render, use services, worshippers. Keep that stuff in mind. Okay, so there was a mist that came from the earth. So remember, the waters are below the earth, and so it just like mist. It would kind of spring up and mist the earth and water the whole face of the ground. And God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his face, or into his nostrils, the breath, neshama, of life, of age. And man became a living soul, nefesh. Person, desire, passion, appetite, emotion, being. Okay, and so the planting of the garden. And God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and he put the man, Adam, whom he had formed out of the ground, and made the Lord God to grow every tree. And that's the word eitz, every tree. And that word tree is masculine. And it can mean carpenters, framework, logs, shaft, stalk, stick, timber, wood. Yep. And then he caused these trees to grow that is pleasant. And the word pleasant is chamad, to desire, take pleasure in, attracted, delight, desirable, desires pleasing, took great delight, take pleasure. And then in the examples, it's like inordinate, ungoverned, selfish desire is one definition. Lustful desire, take pleasure in, yeah, okay, go back. So pleasant to the sight, which was in appearance, in vision, and it's masculine. Appearance, face, form, good looking. Of beauty, an appearance. Okay. Hopefully my battery doesn't die. Okay, let's go on. Good for food. So good is that word tobi, beautiful. For food is mak'awal. Boop, boop, boop. Victual, and it can be compared to as honey. Okay. The tree of life, also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first was Pison, where the gold was, okay, etc., etc. Okay, the forbidden fruit. And God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it. To dress it is that word abad, to serve, to work, to slave. Bondage, cultivate, worship, slaves. And the Lord said to man, of every tree in the garden you may freely eat, of every tree in the garden. But the tree of knowledge and of good and evil, you shall not eat it. For on that day you shall surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man shall be alone. I will make him a helpmeet. So these trees, though, man, these trees. I feel like the trees were representing the trees were figurative. Because when God talks about the tree in other passages of the Bible, he's talking about like for example with Michael, he called him the cedar of Lebanon for his pride. And then in that passage of Ezekiel 31, it talks about how the cedar of Lebanon fell because he was exalting himself too high above all the other trees in the Garden of Eden. So what I feel like is that Eden was just a place where these angels, spirits of God, could come down and partake or have Adam and Eve, mankind, worship them. And the reason why the covenant of marriage is so important is because God told me that sex is the highest form of worship. Scandalous, I know. So I think that Adam and Eve were like sex slaves. And then when I'm going to skip over this part where Adam and Eve Eve was created. It's interesting, but I'm going to get into it in another video maybe. So Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpents, I think I'm going to have to take this video upstairs because my laptop is about to die. This serpent is masculine, and it's an unused word. It just means sneaky, I guess. Biting in spite of charm. Okay. Oh. Okay, so, and then rod becomes, that's in Exodus 4:3. And then hissing as eating dust, a crafty tempter. Okay. So that snake, that serpent, was more subtle than the beasts of the field which God had made. And he said to the woman, you shall not eat of every tree. Hath God said, you shall not eat of every tree in the garden? And the woman said, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, or you shall die. That word to die, what is that? Muth, to die, bring about death, cause death, deadly, corpse, kill, take life. Okay, let's go back. And then the serpent said, you shall not surely die, for God knows that in that day you eat, then your eyes, but then it's ayin, which is an eye, shall be opened, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil, knowing beauty from adversity. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, was beautiful for food, that's just for consumption, and that it was desirable to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Consider. Oh, this word. Let me see this word real quick. Don't die on me, computer. Don't die. Actually, let me just take this upstairs real quick. I don't want my computer to die. Okay, so yeah, it means to be prudent. Prudent. Prudent has a lot of different definitions, but to give attention to consider, to have insight, comprehension. Okay, let's go back. And so she took it and she ate, and she gave it to her husband and he ate. And the eyes of both of them, or is that word ayin? The eye of both of them were opened, and they saw that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And so then they heard the voice of Jehovah, Elohim, walking in the cool. That word cool is ruach. Walking in the garden, in the spirit, in the breath of the day. Of the day is that word. The day. Okay, just references the time of day. And Adam and his wife hid. They withdrew from the presence, from the faces. That's that word panim, from the face of the Lord, amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord called unto him and said, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. And he said, Who told you you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? And he said, The woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit, and I did eat. She gave me of the tree. She gave me of the tree. And the Lord said unto the woman, What is that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me. And that word beguile, it means to lend on interest, to be a creditor. So because of that, the Lord said to the serpent, Because you've done that, you are cursed above all cattle and every beast of the field. Upon your belly you shall go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of your life. But this word, and dust, is the same word that was used to create man. So it literally means loose earth, but specifically as material of human body. So that's why, I think that's why it says that Satan roves around like a lion seeking who he can devour. Perhaps. Alright, so this video is getting a little long. I'm going to stop it now.